Okay. So today is July 10th, and we're going to look at um, the how the bingo board. And I wanted to acknowledge first about um, the passing of John Beck last month, because
Mm,
he is the
mm,
one that inspired me to really dive into Jung types in handwriting.
mm,
So I'm just I want to acknowledge that I'm
mm,
still dealing with his passing, but
mm,
he's I just to share. I when I came to my first uh British graphology conference, um he was there and we started talking. In fact, my wife spoke French, and so they spoke in French very, very well. I just let them. He's he was so friendly, and he invited me out to his place, and we spent hours, the whole day, uh, and he shared everything, like everything he could in a day.
mm,
But
mm,
it's a lot of why I joined Big, because every month he was a teacher with the British Institute too, and so every month I could jump in on his study group and learn a little bit more. Um, we have a lot, there are a lot of wise and gracious people in the field of graphology. There really are.
Amen.
Yeah.
mm,
So, what another confession I have, since I have someone here I can confess to, we we my whole purpose here of doing all of this series and putting this little kind of bingo game together is to see if people that are not too, only vaguely or partly familiar with the Jungian type, if it's something that will help them to learn more quickly. So that's how I'm really using you to help me know if this is working. And today we're going to really concentrate on the how to, and it's going to be like a language lesson. You're going to learn the um, the letters. You're going to learn how to uh, how how the combination of function attitude match up with the Myers Briggs type. And now you're not going to learn all of that in an hour. Okay. I'm going to show you the
mm,
process so you can study the board, and then you can be studying, the the Myers Briggs framework, and be with that it'll kind of lead you with like the first language lesson. You begin to start learning your vocabulary. Does that make sense? That's um I got the understanding, like some of us have a little more knowledge about type than others, but we're all kind of at about the same place in terms of um uh well, frankly, the way type was taught to me, I got more confused by learning about it than I would have been if I if I just started from scratch. It took me a while to unlearn all
mm,
of that. So without further ado, let me just check in. There are three handouts, and we'll be going over. Um, I sent them off in the Vanguard listserv. If you all have access to that, and if if uh, I can get them to you afterward, if you're having let's see, let me see if this will let me. I think, yeah, I think I have to just open each one by one. So let me just do that. So I'll start with the, there should be the assessment form PDF and the bingo pieces PDF and the Myers Briggs App PDF. Okay. And now that assessment form is the initial, that's the same one that I've sent out before.
Yeah.
The pieces, the bingo pieces is a new one that we'll be focusing on. And that last one, the Myers Briggs app, is something that you can kind of look over and read afterward, because it will give like step by step, explain the arrangement of the 16 personality types on the bingo board. See, so so it's sort of like a review. So we'll start. Let me make sure I have. Yeah, we're gonna learn how to use the Jung Type Bingo board, how to translate functional attitudes into equivalent Myers-Briggs 4-letter code, and how to stack or the dominant and the auxiliary function attitude on the assessment form. So I'm going to start with the assessment form. And okay, let me see here. Now I need
Can you
to
just hold up the assessment form? I'm getting this bit confused.
Okay, I'm gonna put it on the screen here.
Is it this one?
Yeah, it'll
Oh,
have
that's okay, thank you.
yeah. Can you all see that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Megan, is that, can you see that?
Yeah.
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 Okay. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Okay, so what we have on this handout,
Thank you, Lana.
yeah, is
I don't
on,
know if I'll need them, but thanks for bringing them.
yeah.
I'll take it back then.
So Debbie, do you have the handouts now? On the second page of this assessment form is the arrangement, the bingo board.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we'll be looking at that here in a minute. First, I want to show you, we kind of looked at this a little bit last week. This is a summary. This first page is a summary of the guide to how to identify type. Does everyone have that from the last week? The guide.
Har rekryterat andra, samarbetat med en NNR-aktivist, men också
Someone's got oh, Jens, I think you might have a
informella nätverk där man sysslar med träning, sprida högerextrem.
Okay, I got it. Yeah, does this is a summary of what is explained in the guide. So the guide goes through, and remember we talked about the perceiving represented by a P and the judging by the J. And and then those characteristics in that perceiving and judging guide, you would sort, was it perceiving or like, was it more of a perceiving type or more of a judging type, based on the kind of the broad characteristics. And so this summarizes that here the I represents the introverted side of these function attitudes. So a function attitude is where you have the function represented by its letter, like thinking function. It's usually represented by a capital T. And right next to it, it is identified whether it is introverted or extroverted. Okay. Is that making sense to everyone? This we talked about the other week. It's kind of a review. So, and if you'll notice, what I've got here is summarizing these ideas with the capital E here and the capital I on the left and the E on the right, with the P up on top and the J on the bottom. So what that's showing is, if you take the equator across the middle of this circle, then these lower function attitudes relate to that guide for the judging type. They would be the four possible functions. Two of these four possible functions would probably show up, would be showing in the and I'll demonstrate this in a minute, but they would be showing up in a personality type that had a J at the end, versus the two of these would show up in the personality type that had a P at the end. Okay. Now, we're just looking in the Myers Briggs type, we're just looking at the two positions. The first position at the top here, where it says 1, is called the dominant function attitude. And the second position, where it says 2, is the auxiliary function attitude. And these two positions are represented. I'm going to show you. This is at the bottom. You see these 4 lines. This is where the 4 letters, the Myers Briggs type 4-letter code, will go, and they're positioned in this way. If it's the I or the E for extroverted or introverted, the S or the N for sensing or intuition, and the third position, it's going to be the F or the T for the feeling or thinking, and in the fourth position, it'll be the P or the J. Okay, so this will make more sense after we look at the board, because it's a lot easier. This is really like a translation thing, kind of something for you to do like your worksheets on. Now, I want to point out, while Jens has gotten a window lift, he sent me a sheet that I'll be sending out to you at our next meeting, hopefully. I didn't want to get you confused, but there's a third way of representing these things that is, I guess, called the classic, and I just learned about it from him coming out of the kind of the characterology and the graphology traditions that he had studied almost most continuously under Carl Jung and the graphologists. So, but that's how he's presented them. This is the point I want to make. How he's presented them is using the function attitudes. See, so it's kind of like we can have three different ways of presenting the Jungian types. And by knowing the function attitudes, by learning, which I think are the easiest, they make the most sense. You can translate them into the Myers Briggs type because a lot of people use that. And then using his table, you can translate them into the classic type. Yes, Judy.
What's the difference between sensing and intuition?
The sensing, I'll tell you, in the handwriting, the difference between sensing and intuition is the sensing has more pressure and the intuition has less pressure. May even have air strokes. Does that make sense to you? In the handwriting, it also is usually the intuition has the upper zone emphasis and the sensing has the lower zone emphasis. Okay. There are differences. And, you know, so as a graphologist, you can almost immediately see, well, sensing is about experiencing, that emphasis on experiencing, and intuition is kind of an aesthetic kind of knowing.
Mm,
Does that make sense?
yes.
Is it
This is the
possible for a
power
person
of
to
the
have both?
Yes. What?
Can a person have both?
As they have, it is possible. In fact, you know, the thing is that we have all of these, but developed to different degrees.
Okay.
That's his whole theory. And typically, you know, like the complexity of his theory has to do with there's certain ways that the development may be easier than other, you know, the other ways. And we'll learn that later. Basically, an example is the, let me just give you an example in the handwriting. The feeling and thinking are a real good example that you find those in the middle zone where there's, you know, more rounded writing is the feeling, shows the feeling function, and more angled writing is the thinking function. Well, they're what Jung called bipolar functions. They're when you have the thinking, the operations of thinking are distinctly different from the operations of feeling. And when you're working under the one operation with the thinking, the feeling is not operating. And so that's why there may be things that remain unconscious. You see it in an intellectual person who's like overthought. They've developed their preferences for knowledge and analysis and stuff like that. And they have trouble with opening up and connecting with people. You see, that's the theory of the bipolar function, and that the development for a person who has like really highly developed thinking function, they literally have to set that aside to let their feeling function kind of develop. Like your right and your left hand. You get good with one hand and The other one doesn't have the practice. Does that make sense?
Victor,
Yeah,
if you finished saying that, could
yeah,
you
I'm good.
explain? Sorry, no, this is carrying on from what you're saying.
Yeah.
Could you explain the feeling function to me? Because I'm not quite sure what exactly that is. I mean, it's
Oh,
not you
okay.
are very
Now,
emotional, it's something completely different, but what is it?
yeah. Now realize these are kind of like to help you kind of get a handle on it. There's a lot more than what I can say in a few minutes.
Mm,
Okay.
yeah.
But basically, those people that operate with the feeling function, the relationship is what is valued. And so harmony in and relating, okay, that's what's valued. And so you know, the thinking function is about being correct, you know, but it's not about, it's a different, it's a different process. So that relationship, and you see that in the handwriting. See, it shows up in the connective, um you know, like the way the movement of the M and the N when they're arcade or garland. These are about connecting with other people, with making that relationship, valuing that relationship. Okay.
Yeah, that's very good. Thank you. That's very
Yeah.
helpful.
So the main thing to get here is that this guide that you have, the 3-page guide, about how to identify the from the judging and the perceiving, that it's just for the first and the second positions, where like I was saying a few minutes ago, there's also the tertiary function and the inferior function, number 4, but those are things to be discussed in the future. They're not part of this process. We're just looking at identifying, you know, what's the first function attitude, which means the orientation of it, and what's the second function attitude, meaning the orientation and the function. And that's because these two positions are what have developed the most. The dominant and the auxiliary are the functions most developed, and that's why they're in the Myers Briggs personality type chart. So it's sometimes called the 16 personalities. Any question on
I
what's
do.
going on here?
Is it that the first function is the P or the J, and the second function is the introvert or extrovert? Is that
Okay,
correct?
we'll be looking at this with examples in a minute, and it'll
Okay.
start making more sense to you. But let me address what you're saying. The letter P and the letter J will show up in that last. Okay, they're not part of a function attitude. They're in the Myers Briggs 4 letters, referring to kind of one of the function attitudes. Okay, and what they point to, if it's a P, the perceiving, it points to that there is an extroverted rational. Let's see, let me give you a term here first. The S and N, you were saying, what's the difference? There's a question, what's the similarity? Well, the similarity between S and N is that they are called irrational functions. That's Carl Jung's terminology. And the F and T are called rational functions. Okay. Now, don't get caught up in that. We'll talk about what all this stuff means more later, but basically these irrational functions are about how you're picking up information. See, the sensing, you're gathering information with your senses, or you're gathering information with your intuition. So that's why it's related to the word perceiving, P. And whereas the thinking and the feeling functions, they're about making decisions. You make decisions from a process, like the harmony of that relationship. There's a reason going on. I learned this from my wife, who has extroverted feeling. Yeah, they value relationship, and their rationale is very clear when you see someone operating in that feeling function. And so the feeling and thinking, that's related to decisions. So that's called judging by the Myers Briggs referred to that as the judging. So the J or the P, the judging or perceiving, specifically relates to whether the irrational function in the first or second position is extroverted, like this, the function attitude, or the rational function. If it's P, it's the irrational function. Either SE or NE is going to be in the first or second position. If it's J, then either TE or FE is going to be in the first or second position. That's actually what that P and J means. And this is why, see, if the reason, if you have a rational function in one position, you're going to have an irrational function in the other position. See, this is that theory of the opposites and development and balance. So Carl Jung developed this idea that the psyche is trying to balance itself between introversion and extroversion, between rational and irrational. So you need to have something that's gathering the information, and you need to have something that's making decisions with the information. And you need to have something that is outwardly, like making awareness of what's going on out in the outer world. And you need to have those aspects of the psyche that are aware or looking at what's going on in your inner world. And these are the balancing of Carl Jung's theory. That's what it's about. So you're looking at, if you have the extroverted irrational function of intuition, let's say it's here in the first position, then the rational function is going to be introverted. And in the second position, it's going to be one of these rational functions introverted in the second position. That's what this summary means. That's what this is about. Okay. And you can look over. Yes.
Victor, so I had a graphologist professor a long time ago who admittedly was a Freudian, but he did all my personality types, and he put me down as intuitive, introvert, but perception. was he more of a Freudian than a Jungian, do you think, from that? I mean, because what you're saying, that wouldn't be possible. He said I was NP, and then between extrovert and introvert, and between judging and between whatever is left.
Yeah. Let me just, and let's not dive into it too much right now, because I want us to be able to examine how we've been told different things and be able to figure out what actually is going on.
Yeah.
But basically you're identifying how confusing and how confused this most popular way of talking about personality is.
Okay.
You know, psychologists, I'm not kidding. I find I was taught wrong in graduate school about all of this. Okay.
All right. Well, let's see what you've got to say.
Yeah. So let's go to the demonstration, because that's where it'll all start making sense. Okay. Let's see, I need to get out of this. And for this, we need to go, you want to open up the bingo pieces pages. And if you were able to print it out, and let's see, I'm going to open up the actual pages here. There we go.
Victor, I don't think I've
Yes.
had that. It's Christina. I don't think I've had that
Oh,
come through
okay.
the bingo page.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a new one. I sent it out on the
I think it's this one, Victor.
let's see.
Yes, I think so too, but I haven't
Yeah,
got
it
that
has
one.
the new here, I'll show you. Don't worry if you don't have it. I sent it out on the listserv for the Vanguard listserv, but I can get it to you afterward if
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you. It's just trying to work through it as you're talking it
Right,
without
right,
having it.
right.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Let's see here. Which one is this? Okay. Oh, there it is. I got to get the right one open. Is this right? Yes.
hi, Lena. That's an amazing wall behind you.
Thank you.
There we are. Okay. Can everyone see these diamonds here? Okay.
Yeah.
So, now you might have your board, because
I don't have that either.
this is in the assessment, the second page of the assessment. Okay. The ABCD 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
It's there it is.
Okay. You can use that. You can follow on that, because this is what we're going to talk about now. And I'm going to show you the pieces. The one that has pieces is I've put together a bunch of famous or well-known people and their function attitudes. And I'm going to show you how to put this together. I got their type from this website, personality-database.com. And I put that, by the way, as a reference on the on that last page about the Myers Briggs app. At the bottom in the reference section, I give you the link to that website, so you can be using that to help you find some examples to practice. You'll see what I mean now here. So let me just take someone, let's see. How Johann Hackabell. Am I saying his name right? In this personality database,
It's Pashabel.
Harshabell. Okay, thank you.
Pashabel.
How about
Yeah.
Leonard Bernstein? We all know.
You want to do Leonard Bernstein? Let's
Yeah. got
okay,
his-
let's do that. So they now what's interesting is in that website, they give the Myers Briggs type, four letters, Myers Briggs type. And I translated it into the function attitude. Okay. So, and you'll see it here in a minute. So Leonard Bernstein, the F refers to the feeling, extroverted feeling with the E. So he's got the extroverted feeling function, and I put it first to indicate it's in the first position, and introverted intuition for the auxiliary or second position. Okay, now here, let's see if I got this right. Okay, here we go. Now let's see if I can do this. So what you want to do is you take this function attitude and you look on your board, and you'll see that I have at the top of the diamond, of each diamond, is the dominant function attitude, and at the bottom of the diamond is the auxiliary function attitude. Okay, so let's take a look. Let me bring that down. I need to, oh yeah, we're good. Okay. So can anyone see where this goes? Extroverted feeling,
On the bottom.
introverted intuition.
Down at
Extroverted feeling.
line number 4.
Okay,
And it's an ENFJ.
you got it right there. I'll put that a little bit underneath. Let's see. Yeah. Line number 4C. Okay. So, like I said, this is the most basic. We're simply learning to relate the function attitude to the Myers Briggs type, and back and forth.
Sorry,
No,
sorry,
go ahead.
sorry, Victor, I'm not getting this at all.
Sure.
Because surely the opposite, introverted to the extroverted, is not intuition, because you've got extroverted intuition to start with, haven't you?
Extroverted feeling.
Extroverted feeling. Okay.
Yes.
Well, the opposite to that, it would have, to me, been thinking.
This is the thing. Look at your assessment page. The first page. Look at the assessment page, and you'll see the first position is at the top, and the second position is to the right, or whichever way it's on the arm, it's on the hand, it's not opposite. It's at like you have a cross going on there on that assessment.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's number 2. You are correct.
I'm still not getting it.
Okay.
I'm still not getting it.
Let me jump over
'Cause-
there.
because
It's a second function, not
you're
not the
ahead of
opposite
us.
function.
Because what I have is basically a little square of T and N at the top, T on the left, N on the top right. Below the T, the S, and the F is bottom right. So I've got that little square of letters is how I've always looked at it.
Right, right.
So opposite.
I know. We're gonna
inferior, yeah.
unlearn you a little bit here.
Okay.
Okay. Let me.
That's why it
find
hasn't
something.
worked for me.
Yeah. I understand. That's why I'm using the Myers-Briggs letters, but I'm not getting I don't depend on them. Hold on a second here. We got okay, there we go. I got a I'll show you here. It's a good question. It's very important because like I said, we've learned things the wrong way. And it's the confusion of the Myers-Briggs letters, actually. So does everyone see this circle again? And we're squaring the circle, okay? You're correct about the bipolar opposites, okay? So in position 1 for Leonard Bernstein, we have extroverted feeling. Let me see it. Oh, I can't write on this one. But imagine right here at the top, the F, capital F, little e. So where is opposite to that?
The inferior.
That's right. This is where you have thinking, capital T, introverted thinking. Down here.
Yep. Okay.
Okay. That's why I kind of put this so for those that kind of know a little too much like myself to get confused. Enough to confuse ourselves. So the second position is, what was that again?
Intuition judging, wasn't it?
Introverted intuition. Okay. So notice we have the rational function feeling at the top in the dominant position. We have an irrational function intuition in the auxiliary position. And they are opposite in orientation. You know, the intuition is introverted, the feeling is extroverted. So the auxiliary position had number 2 here has the introverted intuition. And so what's opposite?
Extroverted sensation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there you would have the bipolar function sensing, extroverted sensing. By the way, guys, this is more than I was going to go to, but you see, it has to do with some of us know a little too much.
Why does the second function have to be opposite to the first? I can see why the fourth is, but why does the second function,
opposite in sign?
In extroversion or introversion?
Oh, opposite. The second and third, you mean? Say that again.
No, I mean, if
second
the
to
first is extrovert, why is number 2 introvert?
Okay.
Sorry.
Remember, the concept is about balancing.
Yeah.
Psychic balancing.
Yeah.
So normally we develop one orientation, we get real good at that. And if it's extroverted, we're going to develop another function that's going to balance that by being more introspective. Okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's about the balancing. Now, let me ask you guys, is the Jung Types framework an assessment? I know I call this an assessment, but is it an assessment?
Well,
We go back to
Well, yes, isn't it all an assessment?
It's a trick question.
Yeah,
The framework is a conceptual model to help us think about what, like how is there psychological balance going on in this personality? Okay. The assessment, there's three approaches to assessment. There's the clinical assessment, which Carol Shoemate
Yeah.
talked about. There's the characterological assessment with the graphology that Winderley works with. And then there's the Myers Briggs type indicator, that's the psychometric assessment. That's a different, those are assessments. So this will really help keep you from getting confused. What we're doing is a conceptual model, and we can use all three assessments to help us by recognizing that what we're doing is we're just thinking about it. Okay.
So are you saying then that first and second position for Bernstein are both irrational?
First position was feeling.
Right.
Feeling.
Okay. Remember,
Rational.
feeling
Feeling
is rational.
Yeah.
feelings rational. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It's a little tricky. Those are kind of things you just learn.
Mm.
Like I said, is some
Yeah.
vocabulary here.
And the
Mm.
auxiliary is irrational because that's
That's
intuition.
the intuition. Yes.
Mm.
So is that always the case that you have a mix of, like 1 and 2 is one's rational, the other's irrational?
Yes. It's always the case. It explains why we have these. You only need to remember 8 function attitudes, 4 functions and 8 function attitudes. These,
Yes. Yes.
you see, because the perceiving indicates that it's going to be an extroverted irrational function, and the judging is that it's going to be an extroverted rational function. And so if this is true, then this will be in the other position. One of these will be in the other position. That's it. It can't be anything else.
Mm.
That's what I mean. When I got this simplified, it helps me when I'm assessing the handwriting, because the handwriting gives you so much information. It's really sometimes very hard to figure out what's dominant and what's just slightly developed.
So is the P or the J based on the dominant or based on
It doesn't relate to the dominant or the
auxiliary? Yeah.
dominant or the P and the J doesn't relate to the dominant. That's a good point. The dominant has to do with the I and the E kind of thing, in the first position. But you see,
Nice.
this is why it's so complicated. I mean, this Myers Briggs 4 letters is the most complicated stuff. I never, especially for introverted folks, I never could figure it out. I didn't understand how it happened because you have like, okay, there's a dominant, but how do I know which one of these is dominant extroverted? You got dominant introverted. Anyway, you don't worry about which one is dominant when you're looking at the P and the J. You're just looking for what is extroverted. Okay, and let me show you then. Let me see here. We'll go, let's go to this piece. So these are arranged here, this table of the Myers Briggs letters are arranged in a sequence. All of the introverted that have a J at the end. Okay, they're at the top. All of the introverted that have a P at the end. Second row. And I talk about this in that little 2-page article. All of the extroverted that are P here. So see, there's 4 extroverted that are P, that are perceiving. And then all of the extroverted that are J. Okay. So you can, like by getting familiar with this table, you begin to see, okay, this is the 16 personality, and they're like they have a clear organization to them. And the thing is, the easiest way to see that is to look at your function attitude. Now, I put the function attitudes here because, especially for this introverted J, I never could figure out introverted Js. I never could. But a function attitude, well, this means introverted J means that your rational function is going to be the dominant introvert up at the top. And in this case, see, you've got, and then if the dominant, if the, let's see, did I say that right? No. Introverted J. No, I got it backwards. Remember, J is about the extroverted rational function. J is the extroverted rational function. So a dominant introverted that is J, it's going to be the irrational function that's dominant. You see at the top. See, I need the table. I need this table. And you see then, the bottom, the function attitude of T, F, and E, T, again, these are the auxiliary functions that are extroverted. Okay. Have I gotten you all totally confused now? This is what I was meaning, that today we would be learning like vocabulary and how to be relating to this. Yeah. So can
I just ask again, P equals introverted irrational.
Yeah, say that again.
P equals introverted irrational.
You got it backwards again, like I did with the J. P is about the extroverted irrational.
Extroverted irrational. I'm writing it down, that's why.
Okay.
Extroverted irrational.
Uh-huh.
And the J is introverted.
Well, the J is about the extroverted rational.
Yeah, that's what I had. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So that's why, like when you put these.
So where does the introverted come in?
No, say again.
So where does the introverted come in if they're both extroverted?
Yeah.
Well, you see, when the rational is extroverted, then it's going to be the irrational that's introverted. And then you have to consider, is that's the dominant one. See, so if it's dominant introvert, which is by the I at the beginning, when I is at the beginning, it shows it's a dominant introvert. Okay. So I is at the beginning shows it's a dominant introvert, and J is at the end, which shows what?
Judge.
Yeah, which means
Extrovert.
the
Rational.
what's extrovert?
The J.
The
Yeah.
rational.
The rational is extrovert.
Yeah.
The T or F. Yeah.
Mm, mm.
Okay.
No.
T or F. So if the rational is extrovert and the Myers Briggs type is dominant introvert, what's going to be the function that's introvert?
Intuition or sensation.
Yeah, intuition or sensing. The irrational. Yeah. You get this. See, you get this, and you'll never have trouble again. Never again.
I'm not getting that at all. Not
Well,
getting it at all.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the thing. You don't have to worry about trying to get it all because it's all right here in front of us. See?
Right.
This is like, what do you call it? The alphabet, you know? The 16 personalities, they're right here in front of us, and they're arranged in an order. All of the dominant introverts that's that has a J at the end. See, all of the dominant introverts that have a P at the end. This is why I never could get it, because you see, the dominant introvert with a J is the opposite of what that J is pointing to. That's really confusing.
Yes.
Which is why I like these function attitudes. You know, I can just look, okay, this is what it is. It's a introverted intuition dominant with an extroverted thinking. And then I look here, like I don't even try to memorize this anymore. Then I look here and I see, oh, okay, let's see. Yeah, that makes sense because see, it's the introverted intuition,
Yeah.
extroverted thinking. Okay.
It's rational.
I don't even try to memorize it anymore. It's not worth it. I have it right here or on my phone.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. Questions?
So
This is-
what are the handwriting features for the perceiving and judging?
Okay. Well, you have to realize that it's a good question. Okay. Perceiving and judging are not functions. They're not functions, but they're broad kind of global characteristics about what the whole personality, you know, like kind of how a general aspect of the person, how they appear to others. So it has to do with regularity and irregularity. Okay. The judging type has they're pretty much you can always see them because it's clearly they have regularity in their writing. Okay. The writing has that regularity to it. Okay. Now, perceiving, sometimes it may look more regular than other times. So perceiving can be a little difficult sometimes, but it's usually if you get enough of the writing, you can see, oh, okay, that's there's irregularity there. And of course, the perceiving, they want their freedom. And you know, the judging, they want that consistency, order in their world. See, so and you'll find these on that first guide. I show those regularity and irregularity about the handwriting. So it's like just it's the first impression. Judy, is that
Okay.
helpful? Yeah,
Yes,
it's
that
just kind of
helps
the
a
first
lot.
impression, because it is. It's like, yeah, in the handwriting, you want to decide, is it judging or perceiving? Because then it'll help you narrow down the next decisions. Yeah.
On your squares,
Mm-hmm.
this is the first letter, or sorry, the first function that's mentioned. Is that always the dominant? Like this INTP,
Yes.
is that the intuition is introvert?
Okay. I put the function attitude that's dominant at the top of the square here.
So why has it got the other letters?
And
Why hasn't it got the dominant letters for its four-letter code?
well, there's only one dominant in each of the 4-letter codes. There's only one dominant. Is one missing?
So the letters there will be introverted, intuition, thinking, P. Is that correct?
No.
No,
Okay.
sorry, for second row, and
We have
right.
These are two different ways of presenting the type. Okay. One is by function attitude, and one is by the Myers Briggs 4-letter. Okay.
Yeah.
So the Myers Briggs 4-letter is in the middle.
Yeah.
Okay. The function attitude I've kind of like separated so that you can tell which one is a dominant function attitude and which one is the auxiliary function attitude. When you know the dominant function attitude and the auxiliary function attitude, you can know, what this is.
But does Myers-Briggs always put is that 4-letter code, does that always contain the dominant function?
Yes, it always contains the dominant function and the auxiliary function.
So can I ask Victor just to tune in here? So
Yeah.
the dominant function, so you've got introverted, and then the dominant function comes second, and then the auxiliary comes third.
Okay. I told you the Myers Briggs type 4-letter code is confusing.
Okay.
It doesn't always come second.
All right, that explains it. Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't always come second. It is. That got me for 30 years. I'm not kidding. I learned it wrong in graduate school. I never could figure it out. Okay.
Why doesn't it always come second?
Well,
how illogical is that?
I know, it doesn't make much sense. It has to do with that you have to consider what J is doing. See, there's like two variables going on. You've got J is pointing to what's extroverted, and then the I or E is pointing to what's the dominant. Okay. So if the J is if it's J, it means the second letter is extroverted, and it's the first letter that's going to be dominant introverted. See, but if it's P and introverted, that points to that the first letter, S, the irrational letter S, is going to be extroverted, which means the second letter, T, will be introverted.
I
Okay.
need to sit down quietly and
Yeah,
think about
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Hmm.
I know.
Hmm.
Yeah, that the function attitudes are easy. The Myers-Briggs letters are a little confusing, which is why by putting them in this sequence like this, you at least can start seeing, kind of like, oh, okay, how they're um how they're related and different, which will help you remember. And then because they're like in this arrangement, you don't even have to memorize this anymore or try to remember. All you need to do is understand the function attitude, how to put it as a function attitude, the SITE, and find the square of this out of these 16 squares, and then you can see what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a code book.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm back in second grade. I used to make codes and ciphers in the second grade. So
This is harder than an Enigma was breaking the German code.
it sure is. It took me. I never even broke it. I couldn't figure it out. Anyway, let me wrap it up because I know we're past. Yeah, we're past the time. I wanted that. There's a couple of ways you can go with this, and it's up to you how you want to proceed. It's sort of like, what's your best way of studying or of like practicing? Here we go. I'm gonna go so I'll go back to the page and we'll wrap it up here with a little. Okay, there we go. Let's see. Is that right? Yeah. Okay. Okay. The page with the pieces. Okay. So you can use these. And does anyone notice what's common to all of these folks?
Oh, dead.
Oh,
Maybe their profession.
yes.
Music.
Oh,
They're
they're all
all music.
music.
Yeah, music.
Yeah.
Music.
Classical. Yeah.
Yes.
See, I found it in that they have these categories. And I found it very interesting to go with like one area instead of a whole bunch of different famous people of different professions. And I was curious, what do classical musicians have in common? And I found most of them were dominant introverts. Very interesting. Yeah. So like you can take these, or you can go through and find well, these I've got set up. So this is a good practice because I've got it with I translated it to the function attitude, and on that website they use the Myers-Briggs letters. Okay, so you can use this. You can cut out these pieces to help you and just place them where they go on the board. And that'll give you a way to start getting familiar with the arrangement and start. Now, if you know a little bit about these folks or listen to their music, you might want to consider how are they different and how are they similar as you're looking at this on the board. See, so and there's a caveat here. These are not necessarily their assessment. These are what people think their assessment would be based on the members of the, that join the database. So, so it's quite possible for you to, on knowing these folks and on understanding the type language, that you can argue for a different arrangement or a different type configuration than what was voted on.
Have you checked with the handwriting?
Thank you. That's the third piece.
Okay.
In fact, that's what I was going to suggest, to find maybe pick a person that you can find their handwriting, maybe one of these folks that you can find their handwriting, and maybe dive into a little bit about their biography and their handwriting, and we can come back next, and at our next session in a couple of weeks, and be looking at how the handwriting helps us identify type.
Mozart doesn't have anything in it's just a little square.
Oh, where are
Have the
we?
letters in
Next
to start.
yes. I didn't do that very well. Here we go. Hopefully it's okay on yours. Let me see here. Do you have your
I've got it, yeah.
It should be this one is yeah, this is
SEFI is what
yeah.
I've got.
Yeah. Yeah, I messed up here. How to ungroup it. Okay. Well, I'll get that fixed. Yeah, it's hidden underneath. It should be okay on your PDF handout.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a great idea. And in fact, I had written it down. Thank you for bringing it up to see if you can find the handwriting of one of these musicians that you might like to look into more depth with, and maybe dig a little bit more into their biography. A lot of times I find really nice biographies on YouTube, about the musicians and stuff like that, especially the classical. And then
another thing that might be interesting would be to put their nationalities with each one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I don't see any Americans in there.
Yeah,
maybe we're rock and roll.
I was working.
Leonard Bernstein was American.
Was he?
Who? Oh, Leonard Bernstein.
Leonard Bernstein.
Yeah, but he's not on this one.
Oh.
Where is he? Oh, I moved him.
You moved him, yeah.
He's down here.
He's been placed.
He's been placed.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so by diving into maybe one particular person, like you can practice where to place them to get familiar with it, but then diving into one person and getting their handwriting and getting a little bit of their background to then be looking at that first guide about how to make a decision for what their type is, you know, with are they J or P? And what is it about their general how kind of from reading their biography, you can kind of get an idea. Well, are they a J or a P? Do you really think they're like that? You know? And this is the thing. See, these are only guesses. They're voted. So, you know, they're not necessarily correct. So you could come up with a more accurate based on your biography and examination and stuff like that. And I think that would be a very good exercise, you know, kind of a practice to begin to understand how to use the guide in applying it to this. Okay. I'm not going to grade anything, so, you know.
Victor, when did you send this one with the musicians? I don't think
Oh, I
don't
sent
have
it
either.
on the listserv for on the Vanguard listserv, but I can let me get your let me get your email and I'll send
Yeah.
that to you.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'll
I have
write
it
it in
too.
the chat.
Okay. I thought I had your email, but I
Yes,
couldn't
you have
find
it, but
Yeah. I couldn't find it when I was looking. Go ahead. Or is it in your maybe put it in the chat there.
yes, I just put it in the
And
chat.
I'll let's see.
Adjusted.
Could I have it too, Victor, please?
Okay. Yeah. Let's see. Maybe send me your email and make sure I have that. Okay,
Yes.
Lauren, is that Lauren and
Megan.
And
well,
me,
Cindy.
please.
Me.
I got an idea. Let me give you my email.
Okay.
And just send me a send right to me. And I'll send you all the copies. Here we go. VictorGClark@gmail.com. And I'll just send me a quick email and I'll know to send that back to you.
When are you gonna write a book on all this, Victor?
Well, I thought you were gonna help me. That's the idea. I'm looking for help.
I'm too old. I got arthritis.
Oh, we don't use our hands anymore. We have the internet. AI and stuff like that, you know?
God, I'm too old to learn that.
Yeah. Yeah. Any questions or and feel free if as you're looking at this you run into get stuck or you know just kind of feel like you've gotten confused, just send me an email. We can even chat in between now and then because you know it's once you get this the simple way it's going to be like how did I ever get confused about this? No.
Are you gonna do Freud after this, Victor?
we will do you know I don't know Wendell is you know Jen's from he was on earlier. He wrote a book on Carl Jung and I think his 30 closest friends inner circle from their handwriting. He did an analysis of their handwriting So maybe after this, you know, after we get familiar with all of this, maybe we'll do like a little go through that book and explore the handwriting and the analysis of Carl Jung and his inner circle. You know, I'd love to explore that. Practice.
You know, there are a couple of videos still out there in which Carl Jung, they do a live interview with Carl Jung. I've seen it, you know, I don't know where I would find it anymore, but it's there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. There's actually a lot of interest, but I haven't seen anything like what Jen's wrote, you know, like the handwriting of these folks. And there's huge biographies of Carl Jung, but which actually leads to more and more questions, which only the handwriting could answer, you know. So yeah, so that's it. Look, guys, don't worry, it's gonna come. It's like a language. And there's like communities, there's huge communities of people probably more confused than we are about exactly how the type works. But they're talking all the time about the Myers Briggs type. And there's journals, magazines. Shoemade edits this online journal about it. So, you know, like talking about current events and Myers Briggs stuff. So it's like it really is a language.
Here in the UK, there's a Jungian club, and they have talks every so often, which you can join in, and you get charged. It's a minimal amount, but for instance, in August, they've got motivations and drivers, the big five. In September, they've got social skills. October, self-esteem. These are all part of the big five personality things. And then November, they're doing numbers, and it's kind of going on. I've got the whole long list here. They're actually doing Holland's method of career selection back in June next year, which I've studied anyway. So
I remember that.
Yes. So yeah.
So the Carl Jung club. Yeah.
It's a yeah. So
yeah.
I printed out the list.
The British Society of Type. I forget its acronyms, but they're really they always have really good programs. So what I'm saying is this really is like opening, you know, to be able to feel familiar with it and to be able to recognize it. It'll open up areas of you'll be able to hold your own, you know, with these guys. Yeah. So that's cool.
I'm afraid I'm gonna go. I haven't had any dinner yet tonight, so
well, I think I've overstayed.
You're the same, man.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I
Exactly.
really have.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
See you all. Thank you.
Take
Lovely.
care.
See you all.
Bye.
Bye.